This story is titled, "In the Middle of a Fight. My wife said plenty of men want me, so I left her for those men to handle. And now she is begging me to take her back." Hey everyone, before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much! Now, let's start the video. So, I, Jake, 34 male, never thought I'd be typing out my life story on Reddit at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday, but here I am. Honestly, I need to get this off my chest, and my therapist says writing it all down might help. Plus, maybe my experience can help some other guys avoid the storm I just went through. So, background? I've been Scratch that was married to Emily, 32 female, for 7 years. Together for 10. We met during my junior year of college, when she literally bumped into me at the campus coffee shop, spilled her latte all over my programming textbook, and somehow I ended up apologizing to her. Classic meet cute. That should have been my first red flag. Back then, Emily was this gorgeous psychology major that half the campus wanted to date, long brown hair, green eyes, always dressed like she just stepped out of an Instagram post. I still remember how my roommate's jaw dropped when I first brought her to our apartment. "Dude, how did you land her? Real confidence booster." "Thanks, man." I've always been a pretty straightforward guy. Grew up in a blue-collar family where my dad taught me the value of hard work. Put myself through college doing construction in the summers, sweating my ass off carrying lumber and pouring concrete while my classmates were taking cushy internships. It built character, though, and muscle. I'm 6', 210 lbs. Always made time for the gym, even during exam weeks. Not trying to sound like a douche, but I can bench 275 for reps and deadlift 405. Physical fitness has always been important to me. After graduation, I landed a job in cybersecurity, started at the bottom, worked my way up. Now I'm a senior network security specialist at a financial tech company, make decent money enough for our 3-bedroom house in the suburbs, the Dodge Charger I've always wanted that Emily hated, and Emily's endless Target and Lululemon shopping sprees. The first few years of marriage were good. We traveled, we had fun, we were that couple people hated because we seemed so perfect. Emily worked as an administrative assistant at a dental office, made money, but nothing compared to what I was bringing in after my last 2 promotions. But that was fine, we were a team, right? Looking back now, I can see how things started changing around year 4 of our marriage. Small things at first. Emily got really into social media, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff, started following all these empowerment accounts. Suddenly, everything became a microaggression or emotional labor. If I didn't notice she changed the throw pillows or got highlights, I was not paying attention to her needs. Meanwhile, I'm putting in 50 to 60-hour weeks, getting called at 3 a.m. when the network gets hit with ransomware attempts, still hitting the gym 4 times a week to stay in shape, handling all the yard work, taking her car for oil changes, and fixing anything that breaks around the house. But God forbid I forget to text her back within 5 minutes when she's out with her friends. The friends were another issue. When we first got together, Emily had this tight group of college girlfriends, normal, fun women with jobs and relationships. But over the last 2 years, they all got replaced with a new crew from her workout classes, single women in their late 20s, early 30s, who seemed to spend most of their time complaining about men and encouraging each other to know their worth, which apparently meant expecting royal treatment while offering nothing in return. Her new bestie, Rachel, was the worst divorced twice before 30, always telling Emily things like, "Don't settle, and he should be grateful to have you." I tried to be cool with them, even hosted barbecues and game nights, but could feel their judgment every time. I walked into the room, like being a stable, hard-working guy was somehow boring and pathetic. The red flags kept popping up, but I ignored them like an idiot. Emily started going out more and more with the girls. Thursday girls' night became Thursday, and Saturday girls' nights. She'd come home at 1 a.m., ignore my texts asking if she was okay, then get mad at me for checking up on her. She bought new clothes that were way more revealing than her usual style, started wearing makeup even to go to the grocery store. The bedroom situation deteriorated too. We went from 3 to 4 times a week to maybe once every 2 weeks, always with her making it seem like she was doing me a favor. I'm tired. I have a headache. I have to be up early. I heard every excuse in the book. But somehow, she had plenty of energy for her 6 a.m. workout classes. Still, I kept trying to be the good husband planned date nights she'd cancel at the last minute. Bought her gifts. She'd return without telling me. Listened to her complain about work drama for hours while she scrolled through her phone anytime I talked about my day. Classic entitled behavior. But I was too busy playing my role to see it clearly. Everything came to a head about 2 months ago, and that's where this story really begins. I just finished a brutal 14-hour day dealing with a major security breach at work. Some script kiddie had found a 0-day exploit in our firewall, and my team and I had been working non-stop to patch the vulnerability and make sure no sensitive data was compromised. My eyes were burning from staring at screens all day. My back was stiff, and I had a pounding headache from the stress. All I wanted was to come home, maybe eat something, and crash. I texted Emily around 8 p.m. to let her know I was finally heading home. No response. Not unusual lately. I figured she was out with her friends again. It was Thursday. After all, sacred girls' night. I got home around 8:45, heated up some leftover chicken and rice, ate it standing at the kitchen counter, then crashed on the couch. Must have fallen asleep instantly, because the next thing I knew, the front door was slamming, and Emily was stomping into the living room at 11:30 p.m. Really, Jake? Really? She threw her purse on the coffee table hard enough to knock over my water glass. I've been texting you for the last hour. I sat up, groggy and disoriented, pulled out my phone, 3 texts from her in the last 45 minutes. Last one said, "Hello, are you ignoring me?" Sorry, I fell asleep. Was up since 4 a.m. Dealing with that security breach I told you about, I explained, rubbing my eyes. She rolled her eyes so hard I'm surprised they didn't get stuck. Of course, work is always more important than me. God forbid you check your phone when your wife needs you. I took a deep breath, tried to stay calm. What did you need, Emily? Is everything okay? No, everything is not okay. She was pacing now, arms waving dramatically. My car was making that weird noise again, and Rachel had to give me a ride home. I texted you to come pick me up, but apparently that was too much to ask. The car that I'd specifically asked her to take to the mechanic 3 days ago when she first mentioned the noise. The appointment I'd made for her that she'd skipped because she didn't have time. I'm sorry about your car. I'll look at it tomorrow, I said, trying to diffuse the situation. I'm exhausted right now. Can we talk about this in the morning? That's when she really lost it. Exhausted? You're exhausted? What about me, Jake? Do you have any idea how exhausting it is being married to someone who's never actually present, who prioritizes work over his marriage, who can't even be bothered to answer a simple text message? I stood up then, feeling my patience wearing thin. Emily, I was literally preventing our company from losing millions of dollars and potentially having our customers' financial data stolen. I'm sorry I couldn't drop everything because you ignored the car problem I tried to fix earlier this week. She stepped closer, her face flushed with anger. This isn't about the car. This is about you never being there for me, about you checking out of this marriage. I almost laughed at the irony. Me checking out? That's rich coming from someone who's barely been home in the last 6 months, who spends more time with her friends than her husband, who can't tear herself away from Instagram long enough to have an actual conversation. That's when she said it, the words that would ultimately end our marriage. Well, maybe I wouldn't need to spend so much time away if you were actually fulfilling my needs. Her voice turned cold, calculated. Plenty of men would want me, men who would actually pay attention to me, men who would appreciate what they have instead of taking it for granted. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. We'd had fights before, plenty of them, but this was different. There was an edge to her voice, a certainty that made me realize she wasn't just throwing words around to hurt me. She meant it. I stood there, feeling my blood pressure skyrocket. In that moment, something fundamental shifted inside me, like a switch being flipped. I looked at the woman standing in front of me, designer clothes, perfect makeup even at midnight, radiating entitlement, and realized she wasn't the same person I'd married. Or maybe she was, and I'd just been too blind to see it. "I don't care about those other men," I said, my voice steady and low. "But maybe you should go find out if they'll put up with your entitled." Her eyes widened. She wasn't expecting that. She was used to me apologizing, backing down, trying to keep the peace. Not this time. The tension in our living room was suffocating. Emily's expression cycled rapidly between shock, anger, and something else, maybe fear. Not physical fear, but the fear of someone who's suddenly realizing they've miscalculated. "Excuse me?" she finally managed, her voice rising an octave. "My entitled? That's what you think this is?" I didn't take the bait. Years of corporate negotiations had taught me when to engage and when to stay silent. I just maintained eye contact, breathing evenly. "Oh, I know you don't care," she continued, crossing her arms over her chest defensively. "Maybe that's the problem. Maybe you'd actually start doing something right for once if you did care. Maybe you'd be the man I thought I married." And there it was, the classic emasculation tactic. Question my manhood because I wouldn't bend to her will. It might have worked 6 months ago, hell. It had worked for years, but something was different now. I felt like I was seeing clearly for the first time in ages. I looked at her, really looked at her, the makeup caked on thicker than it needed to be for a night out with girlfriends, the outfit that was a bit too revealing for just hanging out at a restaurant, the carefully curled hair that she'd spent an hour on before leaving, the subtle scent of a perfume I didn't recognize. So many little details that hadn't quite registered until now. And instead of feeling hurt or angry, I felt something unexpected, relief, like I'd been carrying a 200 lb weight for years and could finally set it down. "You know what, Emily? You're right," I said, my voice calm, almost conversational. "I don't care anymore. I've spent years caring, years trying, years busting my ass to give you everything you wanted, and it's never been enough." She blinked, caught off guard by my tone. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I'm done." I reached for my keys on the counter. "I'm not playing this game anymore. You want to find these other men who supposedly want you so badly? Go ahead. I won't be in your way. You're just going to leave?" Just like that? The panic was setting in now. This wasn't how our fights usually ended. Normally, I'd be the one groveling for forgiveness by this point. "Yes, Emily, just like that." I grabbed my jacket from the coat rack. "I'll be back for my things tomorrow." "Where are you going to go?" she demanded, following me to the door. I turned to face her one last time. "That's not your concern anymore." No dramatic exit, no door slamming, no shouting. I just walked out, got into my Dodge Charger, the one purchase she always complained was too flashy and immature, and drove off into the night. As the suburban streets gave way to the highway, a strange sense of peace washed over me. This wasn't how I'd imagined my marriage ending, not that I'd ever really imagined it ending at all, but now that it was happening, it felt almost inevitable. Like we'd been on this collision course for years and had finally reached the impact point. I checked into a hotel near my office, nothing fancy, just a clean place with a decent bed. I expected to lie awake all night replaying the fight, questioning my decision. Instead, I slept better than I had in months. I spent the next day in a weird state of calm productivity, went to work, solved a couple of complex security issues that had been bugging me for weeks, hit the hotel gym during lunch. My coworkers commented that I seemed different, more focused, more confident. Emily had texted me several times. Are you seriously not coming home? You're being ridiculous. Call me. Fine, be that way. I don't care. Classic manipulation tactics. I didn't respond to any of them. After work, one decided to grab dinner at this sports bar near my office. It's a place where a bunch of us guys sometimes hang out, nothing fancy, just good burgers and plenty of TVs showing whatever games are on. I wasn't really in the mood for company, so I sat at the bar instead of the main dining area. I was halfway through my burger when someone sat down 2 stools away from me. I glanced over and felt a jolt of recognition. Couldn't place him at first, but knew I'd seen him before. He ordered a soda, then looked over at me, doing a double take. You're Emily's husband, right? I immediately tensed up. Who's asking? Jason. I work at CrossFit Elevation. Now I recognized him, one of the trainers at the gym. Emily had started going to religiously about 6 months ago. Claimed it was empowering and the only thing that kept her sane. Cost $200 a month for the elite membership she insisted on. What about it? I kept my voice neutral even though my mind was racing. Jason looked uncomfortable but determined. He moved 1 stool closer and lowered his voice. Look, man, I've seen you drop her off, pick her up. You seem like a decent dude and there's something you should know. My grip tightened around my water glass. I'm listening. She's been telling everyone at the gym that she's planning to leave you. Said you were emotionally unavailable and couldn't handle a strong woman. Said she was just waiting for the right time to break it off. I didn't react outwardly, but my mind was processing 1,000 thoughts at once. When did she start saying this? About 3 months ago. Right around when she started getting private sessions with Brian. Jason's expression told me everything I needed to know. Head trainer, ex-college athlete, talks a big game. Has a reputation for, targeting married women. They've been hanging out after hours, not just at the gym, if you know what I mean. The final piece clicked into place: the late nights, the new lingerie I never saw her wear, the sudden passion for fitness, the coldness toward me. Why are you telling me this? I asked, keeping my voice level. Jason shrugged. Brian pulled the same with my sister last year, wrecked her marriage, then dumped her 2 months later when some new challenge walked in. It's his pattern. He gets off on conquering married women, then gets bored. And like I said, you seem like a good dude. I appreciate it. I pulled out a $20 to cover my meal. Really, no problem, man. And, she doesn't know I'm telling you this. I'd like to keep it that way. I need this job. I nodded. This conversation never happened. As I drove back to the hotel, my mind was surprisingly clear. I should have been devastated, betrayed, furious, and on some level, I was all those things, but mostly, I felt vindicated. All those little doubts, all those moments of confusion, they suddenly made sense. What surprised me most was my lack of jealousy. I didn't care that she was sleeping with someone else. I cared that she'd lied to my face for months, that she'd made me think I was the problem when she was the one betraying our vows. But even deeper than that was a new emotion emerging through the shock, determination. I wasn't going to be the victim in this story. Not anymore. I didn't confront Emily immediately, that would have been amateur hour. Instead, I went tactical. First, I texted her. Need more time to think. Staying with a friend for a while, her response was telling, whatever, take all the time you need. No. Please come home. No, I miss you. Not even an "are you okay?" Just annoyed indifference. Next, I opened my laptop and got to work. I'm an IT security specialist for a reason. I know my way around digital forensics. But I didn't even need to use those skills initially. Emily and I had a shared cloud account for family photos and documents. I logged in and noticed the automatic photo backup from her phone was still active. I found dozens of selfies she'd never shared with me, mirror pics in gym outfits so revealing they barely qualified as clothes, poses that weren't just showing off fitness progress. Some were clearly taken in places I didn't recognize, hotel rooms. From the look of them, then I checked our phone account. We were on a family plan that I paid for. The call log showed dozens of long calls to a number I didn't recognize, always during her workout times or when I was at work. But the real gold mine was our backup cloud. Emily wasn't tech-savvy enough to realize that deleted text messages from her phone backup could still be recovered if you knew what you were doing, and I definitely knew what I was doing. I found hundreds of messages between her and Brian, going back nearly 4 months. Some choice excerpts, Emily. He has no idea, thinks I'm at spin class lol. Brian, his loss. When you coming over today? Emily, soon as he leaves for work. Can stay till 3 this time. Emily, told him I'm going to that work conference next weekend. Brian, perfect, got the cabin booked. Bring that black thing I like. Emily, he asked why I was being distant. Almost felt bad for a second. Brian, don't. He's not giving you what you need. I am. Emily, when should I do it? Still think I should wait till bonus season? Brian, smart girl. Get that money, then drop the bomb. The messages got more explicit from there, won't share those details, but trust me, it was enough to make me sick. This wasn't just a physical affair. They were actively plotting, laughing at me, using me. But I wasn't just collecting evidence for my own peace of mind. I had a bigger plan. Next, I pulled our financial records. As the primary breadwinner, I'd been depositing my checks into our joint account for years. Emily worked part-time at that dental office, but her money mostly went to her self-care shopping, spa days, those CrossFit memberships. I discovered she'd been spending over $500 a month on hotel rooms, expensive dinners, and gifts for Brian using my money, the money I earned working overtime to give her the life she claimed wasn't good enough. Then I did something smart. I called my buddy Tom. We'd been friends since college, and he happened to be the best divorce attorney in the city. Get ready, he told me after I laid out everything. This is going to get messy, but I'll make sure you come out on top. Tom advised me to document everything, the texts, the financial records, the timeline. He also suggested I set up cameras in our house. Not in private areas, he said. That would be illegal. But Colorado is a one-party consent state for recordings. Set them up in common areas, living room, kitchen. If she brings him to your house or admits to the affair on camera, it strengthens your case significantly. So that's what I did, bought some discrete security cameras and installed them when I went to get some clothes while Emily was at yoga, aka Brian's apartment, according to her text with Rachel. Then I transferred most of our savings into a separate account that Emily couldn't access, not all of it. That would be legally questionable, just enough to protect myself. Don't touch the joint account otherwise, Tom warned. Keep paying the bills. Keep everything normal. Don't give her any ammunition. So I maintained the status quo for 2 weeks, told Emily. I was trying to work through my feelings but needed more space. She seemed almost relieved, which only confirmed what I already knew. Meanwhile, the first started working out with a new intensity, hitting the gym every morning at 5 a.m., taking my frustration out on the weights. Added 15 lbs to my bench press in just those 2 weeks. Started eating clean. Got my body fat down to 12%. Not out of vanity, but because I needed to be strong physically and mentally for what was coming. Finally, after 15 days of gathering evidence, building my case, and preparing myself, I texted Emily, coming home tomorrow. We need to talk. Her response was immediate. Yes, we do. I have something to tell you too. I bet she did. I barely slept the night before our confrontation, not from anxiety, but from anticipation. For the first time in years, I felt in control of my life again. I spent the morning reviewing the plan with Tom. We went over every possible scenario, every argument she might make, every tactic she might try. Remember, he said, she doesn't know what you know. That's your advantage. Let her talk herself into a corner before you show your hand. At exactly 6 p.m., I pulled into our driveway. Emily's car was there, along with another I didn't recognize. Interesting! I hadn't expected her to have company for this conversation, but it didn't change my plan. I walked in to find Emily sitting at our kitchen table with another woman, Rachel, her toxic bestie. They both had glasses of wine in front of them and fell silent when I entered. "Jake," Emily started, her voice practiced and sad, "I'm glad you're here. I asked Rachel to be here for moral support for both of us," she added unconvincingly. Rachel gave me a cold smile. "Hi, Jake." I nodded but didn't engage further. Instead, I set my phone on the table, kept my jacket on, and remained standing power position. "Don't give up control of the room. You said we needed to talk," I said calmly. Emily exchanged a look with Rachel, then turned to me with what I'm sure she thought was a compassionate expression. "Jake, I've been doing a lot of thinking while you've been gone." I let her talk, let her spin her web. She went on about how she'd done some soul searching and realized we've grown apart, how we wanted different things, and how she deserved to be happy. Not once did she mention taking responsibility. Not once did she acknowledge her betrayal. It was all about how I had failed her, how I wasn't emotionally available, how I prioritized work over her. Rachel sat there nodding along, occasionally making small sounds of agreement, the supportive chorus to Emily's victim narrative. When Emily finally wound down, she gave me an expectant look, waiting for me to either fight back or break down. Instead, I did something that caught them both off guard. I smiled. "Are you finished?" I asked, my voice calm. Emily blinked, confused by my reaction. Yes. I think we should separate, Jake. It's for the best." "I agree completely," I said. "But before we go any further, I think you should know that I know about Brian." The color drained from her face so fast it was almost comical. Rachel's eyes went wide. "What?" Emily stammered. I placed my phone on the table, opened to the text messages I'd recovered. "Your CrossFit instructor. The one you've been sleeping with for the last 4 months. The one you've been spending my money on. The one you were with last weekend when you said you were at a work conference." Rachel immediately jumped in. "You've been spying on her? Checking her phone?" "That's abusive behavior, Jake." I turned to Rachel calmly. "I haven't touched her phone. These are from our shared cloud account, the one I pay for. The one that automatically backs up her messages. The ones she thought she deleted." Emily switched tactics. Immediately tears sprung to her eyes. "It's not what you think. He took advantage of me when I was vulnerable. I was lonely, Jake. You were always working." "Save it," I said, still calm. "I've already talked to Tom Johnson about filing divorce papers. I know about the hotel rooms, the gifts, the plans you two were making to wait until my year-end bonus before leaving." Her face changed, then the fake tears dried up instantly. Her expression hardened. "You think you're so smart. Fine. I was going to try to be nice about this, but you want to play hardball? I'll take you for everything you've got: alimony, the house, your precious car. By the time I'm done with you, you'll be living in a studio apartment eating ramen." I just smiled because that's exactly what I was waiting for. "You might want to rethink that strategy," I said, pressing a button on my phone. The TV in our living room turned on, connected to my phone via Bluetooth. The security camera footage from our living room played, showing Emily and Brian together on our couch just 3 days ago. Emily's voice on the recording: "Once the divorce is final, we'll sell this place and buy something better. Jake will pay for it, all his fault for being such a pushover all these years." Brian's voice: "He has no idea what's coming, does he? Poor bastard." Her face went white as a sheet. Next to her, Rachel looked like she'd seen a ghost. "I've got hours of these," I said calmly. "You bringing another man into our home while I was working to pay the mortgage. You discussing how to maximize what you could take from me, planning it all for months. You can't record me without my knowledge." "That's illegal," she sputtered. "Actually, I can. Colorado is a one-party consent state, and these cameras are in common areas of a house that I own and reside in." Tom says hi, by the way. "He's very interested in presenting these to the judge if you decide to fight dirty." Rachel stood up abruptly. "I should go. This is between you two. Funny how quickly the support evaporated when things got real. I didn't try to stop her as she grabbed her purse and practically ran for the door. Once we were alone, Emily's demeanor changed completely. The tears and anger vanished, replaced by cold calculation. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice flat. "A clean break," I replied. "You sign the papers Tom drew up. You get your personal belongings and your car. I keep the house, my retirement accounts, and everything else. No alimony, no lengthy court battle. You walk away, and we never see each other again. And if I don't agree, then we do this the hard way. We go to court. I present all of this evidence, the texts, the videos, the financial records showing you spending marital assets on your affair partner. Colorado may be a no-fault state, but judges still don't look kindly on this level of deception and financial misconduct." She was quiet for a long moment, calculating her options. Then she tried one last angle. She stood up and stepped toward me, her entire demeanor shifting, the anger and coldness melting away, replaced by something soft and vulnerable. She placed her hand on my chest, looking up at me with those green eyes that used to make my heart race. "Jake, baby, we can work this out. I made a mistake. Brian means nothing to me, it was just physical. I still love you. We can go to counseling, start fresh." I removed her hand firmly but gently. "Save it, Emily." That might have worked on the old me, the guy who would do anything to keep you happy. He doesn't exist anymore. She stepped back, her expression hardening again. "Fine. I'll sign your papers, but only because fighting you isn't worth my time. I have better things to do with my life than drag out a divorce with someone I don't love anymore." I nodded, not bothering to point out the contradiction with her previous statement. "Tom will contact you tomorrow with the paperwork." As I turned to leave, planning to go back to my hotel for the night, she called after me. "He's better, you know, in every way that matters." I paused, then looked back at her with genuine pity. "I'm sure you think so for now. Good luck, Emily. You're going to need it." 2 days later, she signed the papers without a fight. Tom said it was the cleanest divorce he'd ever handled. No court appearances, no drama, just signatures on dotted lines and freedom. I let Emily keep her car and her personal belongings. She didn't fight me on the house or the retirement accounts. She knew she had no leverage. The day she moved out, I didn't even show up, had a buddy there to make sure she didn't take anything that wasn't hers. According to him, Brian showed up with his truck to help her move, looking smug the entire time. I couldn't care less. I spent that day hiking in the mountains, breathing in the clean air, feeling lighter with each step. It was over. I was free. The aftermath was the best part. About a month after everything was final, I was at the gym, a different one, not CrossFit Elevation, when my phone buzzed with a text from a number I didn't recognize. "Jake, it's me. Can we talk, please?" I almost blocked it immediately, but curiosity got the better of me. I replied with a single word, "Why?" The response came quickly. "Brian dumped me, said I was too much drama. I have nowhere to go. My parents won't take me in. I lost my job. Can we meet? Just to talk, please." Turns out, Brian had already moved on to his next married target, a 28-year-old yoga instructor with a rich husband. Emily had quit her job at the dental office to focus on fitness, Brian's suggestion, apparently, and now had no income. She'd leased an expensive apartment she couldn't afford on her own. Brian had promised to move in, then bailed, and her toxic friends had abandoned her once she was no longer the queen bee in her relationship. I didn't respond to her text, just blocked the number, and went back to my workout. But that wasn't the end. She showed up at my house a week later, looking nothing like the polished, confident woman I'd been married to. Her hair was a mess, her designer clothes replaced by sweats, her eyes puffy from crying. "Jake, please," she said when I opened the door. "I made a terrible mistake. I see that now. Everything I had, everything that mattered, I threw it away for nothing." "What do you want, Emily?" I asked, not inviting her in. "Another chance," she whispered. "I'll do anything, counseling, whatever you want." I miss our life. I miss you. I looked at her for a long moment. Part of me, a small, distant part, felt sorry for her. But mostly, I felt nothing, no anger, no love, no desire for revenge. Just nothing. No, I said simply. What we had is gone. You killed it. I've moved on, and you need to do the same. But I have nowhere to go, she cried, the desperation clear in her voice. My landlord is evicting me. My credit cards are maxed out. My parents won't help unless I move back to Ohio. Please, Jake, I'm begging you, I sighed. That's not my problem anymore, Emily. You made your choices. Now you have to live with them. I closed the door gently but firmly. Through the window, I watched her stand there for several minutes, shoulders shaking with sobs, before finally walking back to her car. That was the last time I saw her. I heard through mutual friends that she did end up moving back to Ohio with her parents, deactivated all her social media, disappeared from the life she'd built here. It's been 6 months now. The house is peaceful. I got promoted at work. All that extra energy from not dealing with Emily's drama made me even better at my job. I'm in the best shape of my life. At 34, started dating again last month. Nothing serious. Just enjoying meeting new people who actually appreciate a man who has his shit together. Sometimes I think about how close I came to being another divorce statistic, another guy paying alimony to a cheating ex-wife, another where did I go wrong story. But I trusted my gut, stood my ground, and refused to be manipulated. I won't say I'm not still healing. There are moments, usually late at night, when I remember the good times and feel a pang of what might have been. 10 years of my life shared with someone who ultimately betrayed me in the worst possible way that leaves scars. But mostly, I'm grateful that I found out when I did. Grateful that I had the skills and resources to protect myself. Grateful for friends like Tom who had my back. Grateful that I didn't waste any more years with someone who didn't value me. To any guys reading this who feel something's off in their relationship, trust your instincts. Don't ignore red flags, and never let anyone make you feel like less of a man for expecting basic loyalty and respect. I know this post is super long, thanks if you've read this far, but writing it all out has actually been therapeutic, like closing a chapter in my life that needed to end. That's my story, Reddit. Learn from it or don't, but I'm living proof that standing up for yourself works. Edit. Since so many people ask for updates on what happened after Emily did indeed move back to Ohio with her parents. According to a mutual friend, she's working at a mall kiosk selling cell phone cases now. Brian has moved on to victim number 3, or probably number 33 knowing him. The yoga instructor left her husband for him, only to get dumped 3 months later. Karma's fun to watch from a distance. Rachel, toxic bestie, actually reached out to apologize to me, said she had no idea how bad it really was, and that Emily had lied to her too. I politely accepted her apology, but have no interest in maintaining that connection. My career is better than ever, got that promotion plus a bonus for the security breach I handled. Using some of that money to renovate the house, erasing all traces of Emily and making it truly mine, started rock climbing as a new hobby, met some cool people through that who don't know anything about my past drama. It's refreshing. Dating casually, nothing serious yet, not rushing into anything, focusing on myself for now.